Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. I'm Angela Chu and I'm from Success Options Group, and I'm here with my brother Tony to give you another great episode. And really what we're doing is we're giving you two sides of a story so that you can actually kind of get to know the whole issue, and then you can actually make a decision that's right for you.
Yep, like Andrew said, my name's Tony, and we're doing a little bit of a fun topic this week. This time, like we're talking about winning the lottery, right? And that's something we all dreamed about. I think right now the lottery where we're nearby is like $300 million, and everybody has that dream of making that money, right? And or just winning that. And what would I do with all that money? So what I'm going to tell you is that the best option, if that ever did occur to you, is to take the lump sum, right? Take that large amount of money, no matter if it's 10 million, 300 million, like take the lump sum payment. And the biggest reason to do that, starting off right away, is that way you have capital, right? And you can make investments, or you can do the things that you want to do right now without having to wait for the next 30 years to get the money to come into you.
Okay, you talk about that, except for what you don't realize is people who take the lump sum, a lot of them end up going bankrupt within the next year or two. And that's because they don't know how to deal with it. Taking the lump sum means that everybody knows that you got a whole bunch of money right now. You have that capital and everybody knows because it's public. So then you get all sorts of people saying, hey, didn't you just get however many million? Give me some. I'm your friend. I'm your family. And scammers, you get scammers coming saying, hey, give me money. If you get it as an annual payment, right? You only get a certain amount each month. One, you can live off of that. And two, it's easier to refuse all these people who keep saying, oh, give me handouts. It's like, I can't. I don't have that much money. I took the annuity, and, gives you right there a good excuse for not having to give money out to people.
So I would say that what you're describing here, like the scammers or friends, that's going to occur whether you take the lump sum or if you have the annuity. I don't think that's going to change that much. Where I'm coming from is that, we've talked about this in other videos, is that you need capital in order to do certain investments. Real estate is one of the biggest ones, right? If I want to buy a real estate kind of property, I need to have capital. And that's where this large liquidity crunch or this liquidity would come in. But by taking the lump sum, you're able to make those purchases versus what you have to wind up doing if you have the annuity. So if you want to make a large capital purchase, you have to go and sell off your annuity. So you have to sell off future payments. So it's kind of like you're cashing your future paychecks in a sense, right? It's the whole idea of we talked about loan sharks and that stuff where you're just cashing in your future paychecks. Well, that's what you wind up doing because you're looking for this capital.
So you talk about that, but then you also have to realize how many stories are out there about people who buy things out of their means. Yes, you decide you want to invest in real estate, but you don't know what you're doing. You buy this property. You forget that you have to pay property tax. You have to pay all the things for upkeep. And next thing you know, you have no more money from the capital that you gain. And you still have this property that you still have to make payments on continuously for the next 10, 15 years, and you have no money. And so you end up losing the property because, you didn't plan correctly. That's the problem with getting the lump sum is it's easy to get greedy when you have that much money come in and you spend it on things without thinking, like buying that huge dream house, buying, that new fancy car, going on this huge, awesome vacation. Yes, it's the dream, but these things have, house, that big luxury dream house. It's not just pay once and you're over with. You still have a whole bunch of things that you have to pay continuously for this thing. And if you don't plan for that, that's how people go bankrupt after winning the lottery.
So yeah, that can occur, right? That you do need a plan. I think something you mentioned also that I really struck was you're talking about taxes. And that's probably the other thing that I hear the most from people like when you have an annuity, you're assuming your taxes are going to go down. It's like you're assuming your tax bracket will be lower in the future. It's kind of like the retirement example. And that's not going to always be true. So by taking that lump sum, you kind of get that large tax payment out of the way. It's a big hit, right? Like winning the lottery is, I think it's like 40, 50%, something like that. You have to assume that going in is when you win the lottery, you're going to pay like half of it to the government, right? But you are able to like build that in at the beginning. Whereas if you're doing annuity payments and you're, like I said, you're trying to manage your capital, you can suddenly find yourself in a tax, like a tax impact that you weren't ready for, and now you're cashing in your annuity again, right? You're cashing in all your future payments to like try to make up for that.
Okay, so you talk about that, but the thing is if you're taking the annuity, you're actually getting less every year. So like you said, okay, if you make more money in the future, yes, your tax bracket will go up. But if you're just counting on the annuity as your retirement in a sense, and that's all that's coming in, then your tax bracket will be lower than if you took the whole thing at one time. So
Yeah.
it depends on what your plan is for this.
Well, I mean, we've kind of described it as an annuity. It's not quite exactly like that, but in most respects it is. I think the other big thing for lump sum is when they set up these kind of 30-year payment plans, right, for a lottery winning, it's annual, and I think they give you 5% for inflation. Now, we've talked about inflation before. Inflation is not 10% or it's not 5% right now. It's at least 8%, right? And it's probably more likely somewhere in that 15% range, right? So you're assuming that 5% gain will be good for you over time, but now inflation is eating away at your money, right? And it'd be better if you're able to get it into a different kind of investment vehicle that gets you better returns, something better than 5%, right?
So I see what you're saying with that, but really what it boils down to is each individual person's really self-control and ability to plan how they want to do their life. Because it's like everything we've talked about in all of our videos, it's actually neither choice is wrong. Both choices are actually good depending on what you know about yourself. Because I mean, that's one of the things we talk about is, do you know your own risk tolerance? Do you know your own personality? What kind of plan will actually work the best for you? Because if you know, like one of the reasons I'm on the annuity side or the payment side is because if you know that you are the type who likes to like buy things without thought, then this will help you, like in a sense, control yourself so you don't accidentally overspend and get yourself in a deeper hole. It's a way to be safe, it's a way to be secure in that, hey, look, now I have this payment coming in, every year for the next 30 years, and this payment is enough for me to live off of. So I don't need to worry about my life for the next 30 years, It's a way of being safe. It's a way of being secure. But like my brother said, if you have a plan and you know what you're doing, then having that huge lump sum and investing it correctly and investing it wisely will overall give you a better return.
Right. And that's really, I think we've all been taught about it. It's compound interest, right? So like over time, if you're able to keep compounding returns and gains, you make a lot more money that way, right? And that's always that curve that we see like with compound interest. But so make sure you hit the like, hit subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Leave some comments on what you would do in that situation below. And if not, we'll see you next time.